All right, we are now streaming live on YouTube. This is the preliminary hearing for Mr. Ramad Stanford, charged in 2024 WA 89034 battery, 2024 WA 89035 disorderly conduct, 2024 WA 89036 false statements, 2024 WA 89076 aggravated battery. Representing the state is 88 Thomas. Representing the defendant is Attorney Lewis. Your witness, 88 Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you should give before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
Yeah, if I could have 5 minutes, something I need to take care of right quick.
All righty. Just let us know when you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Karen, I'm back.
I'm still here too.
All righty. We may go ahead and proceed.
I'm not sure if I swore in the office or not.
You did.
Go ahead.
I did. Okay.
You did?
Officer, I need you to turn on your.
Yep. And he said, I swear. He didn't say yes. He said, I swear.
Oh, okay. All right.
Officer, I need you to turn your audio on. Is he frozen?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. State your name for the record.
Officer Pullen, Pullin.
Yeah, what's your first initial?
K,
Okay. How are you employed?
through Clayton County Police Department
In what capacity?
as a police officer.
Excuse me?
I said police
As a police?
officer. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because it's breaking up a little bit, okay?
Okay, I can try to step outside. Hold on.
You can do your who?
I can try to step outside to see if the service is better.
No, stay where you are. That way you're not moving.
Okay.
Okay. Now, were you
Miss
home?
Thomas, Miss Thomas,
Yes.
the concrete where he is going to keep interfering.
So going back outside, you think it'd be better?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. You can step back
Okay.
outside. He's at the range. It's concrete everywhere.
Hold on. Trying to get outside. Is this better?
For now, this can you stand in
Perfect.
one
Okay.
spot? Okay.
All right, this works right here.
Okay. Were you employed in that capacity on December the 22nd, 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, did you have occasion to investigate a matter involving a Raymond Stanford?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have occasion to respond to a 116 Falcon Crest Trail?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in the city of Hampton, Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what brought you to that location to investigate an incident involving Mr. Stanford?
We received a 911 phone call stating that there was a verbal altercation going on between the occupants at the Falcons Crest address and as well as a neighbor. They've been having ongoing issues with Mr. Dana. And they were stating that they wanted him off of their property. They said that he was harassing them. So we arrived back on the scene.
Okay, now what kind of property is this?
This is a trailer.
And did the defendant, Mr. Stanford, did he live there?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Okay.
He was visiting.
Who was he visiting? Do you know?
He was visiting his sister.
She lives at that location.
Yes, ma'am. That's Miss Ricaria or Ricara.
Oh, okay. Now, did you physically go to the location?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened, if anything, when you got there, or what did you find out?
When I initially arrived at the location, Mr. Stanford was outside, Miss Davis was outside, and there was another male outside who we did not ID, and they were kind of yelling, kind of animated about what was going on because I had responded to the same location prior, so they knew who I was, so they were just filling me in on what has happened since my last arrival. And while I was there, I saw Dana McPherson come out of his home, look at me, run and get into his car, and I left to try to make contact with him.
I didn't hear that last part. You say I left, and then we didn't hear the last part.
I tried to make contact with Mr. McPherson once he ran away and got in his car.
Okay, let me ask you something. Is Mr. McPherson the victim in this case?
Yes, he is.
What happened to Mr. McPherson?
Mr. McPherson was beaten severely to the point of his head bleeding. His orbital socket was broken once we took him to the hospital, and he had lost a substantial amount of blood at the time of arrival.
Now, this is the same person who ran away from you when you got there?
Yes.
Were you able to speak to him to determine what happened to him?
Yes, I was able to speak to him once I got his car to stop. When I turned my lights on, his car stopped. He got out of the car. That's when I observed the blood, and he was saying he was wanting to drive to the hospital.
So he was trying to get to the hospital.
Yes.
How did he appear to you?
Um, his he seemed very confused. His thoughts were kind of all over the place when I was asking him questions. I could keep him on track for a second, and then he would kind of want me to repeat what I asked him, things of that nature.
How did you find out what happened to him?
I recovered a video from his cell phone that Miss Davis took. Miss Davis took from him.
She played the video.
No, once we got his cell phone back, he unlocked it and gave us permission to view the videos.
What did the video show?
The video showed that he was standing in the public roadway recording their house because he said he
Hold
believes that
on,
there
it's
was
breaking up a little
illegal
bit.
activity going on.
Hold on, officer. It broke up a little bit. You said he was standing in the road and then something.
He was standing in the roadway with his phone recording what was going on. He said that it was a lot of activity back and forth, which he believed was illegal. And they came outside to confront him about why he was standing in the road in front of their home.
When you say
And
they, who are you talking about?
Miss Davis, Mr. Stanford, as well as the other male who we did not identify.
Okay. So he's recording what's going on at their residence. What happened next?
Miss Davis came onto the roadway where he was at. They got into a verbal altercation, which led to her slapping the phone out of his hand. And from that point, you hear something hit the ground, which I believe was Dana, because he says, "Get off of me." And you hear loud thuds, and you hear Miss Davis say, "Hit him again." And then you see her run, pick up the phone, and turn off the video.
So you saw them confront him and then the phone is knocked to the ground?
Yeah, the phone is slapped out of his hand.
Okay. And then the remainder of it, you could just hear?
Yeah, you could hear impacts, strikes. You could hear Dana's groaning, saying, "Get off me." And then you can hear Miss Davis say, "Let me get some of that." And you heard her say, "Hit him again."
Could you tell who was actually hitting him?
I could not tell who actually was hitting him, but he described him to a T. He described what he had on.
He described who?
Mr. Stanford.
Okay. Now, was Mr. Stanford still on the scene when you got there?
Yes, he was.
Did he make any statements at all to you about what happened?
Yes, he says that he advised officers that they were in the home minding their own business. They saw him standing in the roadway. They remained on their property.
Hold on, let me stop you. When you say him or her, it kind of confuses us. Who did he see? If you could, as much as possible, try to put a name to a him and a her, okay?
Okay. Mr. Stanford said that he saw Mr. McPherson standing outside of the property.
Okay.
And Mr. Stanford, along with Miss Davis and the other male, came outside to ask him why he was doing what he was doing. He says that Mr. Stanford said that Mr. McPherson approached his sister and hit her with his cell phone. From that point forward, he said Mr. Stanford defended his sister by pushing Mr. McPherson away from her, and that was his only involvement, from what he stated. And
So
he wrote that on his
admitted
statement.
putting his hands on the victim, Mr. McPherson?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did he say anything else about whether or not he hit him?
He did not.
He just said he pushed him.
He said he pushed him off of his sister.
Mr. McPherson was able to elaborate more on how he was injured?
Yes, ma'am. He said Mr. McPherson stated that he was knocked to the ground by two large black males. And he stated also that the black male that had a pink do-rag was the one that punched him in the head several times and assaulted him. He said stole his baseball cap. And he said at that point he was able to gather himself and run away.
Is that when y'all arrived?
When we arrived, Mr. McPherson was back in his home.
Okay. What about, where was Mr. Stanford?
Mr. Stanford was standing at the edge of the driveway of the incident location, along with Miss Davis and the other male.
Do you recall what Mr. Stanford had on?
I don't recall his exact clothing, like shirt and pants. I remember it was being dark colored, but I do remember pink do-rag.
He did have on a pink do-rag.
Yes, ma'am.
Did anybody else have on one that you can recall?
No, ma'am. The other male had on a black hoodie, and the hood was over his head. And that was all. And Miss Davis just had on what do you call those? That's
But
all
he
she had
said a
on. It was
male,
a
a
robe and
black
like
male.
shorts.
He said a black male with a pink do-rag hit him.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did Mr. McPherson go to the hospital that night?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And I believe you may have stated this earlier, but just in an abundance of caution, were you notified as to what the nature of Mr. McPherson's injuries were?
Yes, ma'am. I was advised that he had a broken orbital socket. He had a crack into his skull, as well as severe swelling to his face and about 2-inch gash in his actual hair.
A 2-inch gash where?
In the top of his head, it was embedded in his hair, like in between his hair.
And he identified Stanford as the person who did this to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Not Miss Stanford.
No, ma'am. Mr.
Not
Stanford.
the guy with the hoodie.
Not the guy with the hoodie.
Was the guy with the hoodie still there, or did you say he left?
No, ma'am. He was there after I left to go try to stop Mr. McPherson. When I returned, he was no longer there.
Okay. So were you ever able to speak with him?
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. You say that Mr. McPherson was able to record part of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is that recording now?
I believe Officer Rogers has that recording.
So you all were able to get a copy of it?
Yes, ma'am. He has it saved. I believe he has a county issue phone.
Okay. And were you equipped with body cam or anything?
Yes, ma'am. I was equipped with.
Did it record your conversations with Mr. Stanford and the victim, Mr. McPherson?
I don't know if it froze. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I couldn't hear anything you said.
Do you know if your body can record the conversation, the interaction between yourself and the victim and the defendant?
I do believe that my body cam recorded my interaction with Mr. McPherson.
What about with Mr. Stanford?
I did not speak directly to Mr. Stanford. I was given his statement form from Officers Freeman and Officer Pearson. They spoke with him while I interviewed Mr. McPherson on the other side of the neighborhood.
Were they equipped with body cam?
Yes, ma'am. All officers were equipped with body cam.
Do you know what happened to the footage that they recorded?
No, ma'am, but I believe they're all recorded and stored every day.
Now, let's go back a little bit to the victim's, the recording that was made on his cell phone. Did you actually watch it?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Could you tell, or could you distinguish who was who?
I could distinguish when he was able to have his phone upright who was who. Once it was slapped to the ground, all I could see was this guy.
But you could hear.
Yes, ma'am, you could hear.
Okay. Now, you have Mr. Stanford charged with making a false statement. Why did you charge him with that?
I don't know. I charged him with false statement due to him writing on an official document that he had no other involvement other than the defense of his sister who was slapped with a cell phone. After watching the video that was uncut and unedited, Miss Davis was never touched with a cell phone, and she was the one who slapped the cell phone out of Mr. McPherson's hand after leaving her property to come to the road.
So the video showed that the victim did not touch her?
The victim was standing where he was in the
Hold on
roadway.
1 second, you're breaking
Mr.
up.
McPherson
Can anybody
was,
else
Ms.
hear?
Davis.
Hold on.
Yeah, he's broken up, but we hear him though.
Okay, I missed that last little part. What did you say, officer? Can you repeat that last little bit?
I said, Yes, ma'am. Mr. McPherson was standing in the roadway holding his phone upright. Ms. Davis was in the yard of the incident location. Ms. Davis left the yard of the incident location to approach Mr. McPherson, and she slapped the cell phone out of Mr. McPherson's hand. He never made contact to touch her with the cell phone anyway.
Okay. And this was a fight in the middle of the street?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, are you able to see who's in court this morning? Well, this afternoon.
I have to check the screens. Yes, ma'am. I can see you. I can see our judge. I can see Mr. Attorney Lewis, but I cannot see anyone else. All the rest of the screens are black.
Okay. You can't see one marked Clayton County Jail?
I see the screen marked Clayton County Jail, but it's black on my end.
Oh, okay then. Mr. Stanford was taken in custody that day
Yes, ma'am.
at the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that's all I have. Reserved right for redirect. Oh, wait a minute. I do have another question. I'm sorry. Also, you have two dates on your warrants. Do you know why? One says December 22nd, the other one says December 24th.
24th. I do know that the jail called me back later to tell me that he was providing me with a false name and date of birth from the ID that he gave to us. Once they fingerprinted him, they found out who he was, and a separate warrant was redone and taken back to the jail.
Okay. Do you know what date this actually happened? Was it the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th? Which one was it?
It occurred on the 22nd.
Okay. Everything occurred on the 22nd.
Yes, ma'am.
And was this late in the night, early in the day? What was it?
It was almost at the point of midnight. I believe the call initially came in on the 22nd, and as we were investigating, it became the 23rd.
So it started on the 22nd and rolled over into the 23rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know what the victim's condition is now?
The last time I spoke to him, he was out of the hospital. He was he had a separate 911 call that wasn't related to this, which was about 2 weeks after the incident. He still had bruising to the face, but he was upright, walking, talking just fine.
So he's not deceased?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. That's all I have. Reserve right for redirect.
Righty, go ahead, Attorney Lewis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Pullen.
Good afternoon.
Now I've heard a whole bunch of dates here, so I'm gonna see if I can address each of them to try to give myself some clarity. You had
Yes, sir.
encounters with Mr. The purported victim 3 times or 2 times?
I've had reported encounters with Mr. McPherson about 6 times in total over my entire time dealing with Mr. McPherson.
I'm sorry, repeat the number again for me, sir.
I said I've had about 6 encounters with Mr. McPherson in total. Not all were
I see.
related to the
To
incident
this event.
location.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
Specifically with respect to this event, sir, how many times have you had encounters with Mr. McPherson?
3.
3. All right. And those 3 times were
Yes, sir.
twice on the 22nd and once on the 911 call. Or, I'm sorry,
I could not.
last got out of the hospital.
I could not hear you,
hear
sir.
you.
You're breaking up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Let me know if that keeps on happening. On the 22nd, did you have 3 encounters with him on the 22nd?
No, sir. On the 22nd, I had 1 continuous encounter.
Mm-hmm. 1 continuous
Yes.
encounter. I asked that question because I understood you to say that you had come out there regarding a disturbance,
Yes, sir.
and then you had come back out there. All right. Are you calling that all one continuous encounter?
Yeah, when I say I came back, meaning I left the incident location to go
Mhm.
make contact with Mr. McPherson, who was driving away in his
I
vehicle.
got you. I got you. Now I'm with you. Okay. That was a little bit confusing. All right.
Yes, sir.
So in the one event that you come out regarding, this is the event after Mr. Pullins has been struck and sustained all of his injuries. Is that right?
Mr. McPherson?
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is the incident was after Mr. McPherson had already been struck.
All right. Okay. So you never see him prior to the point in time that he is struck. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, cool. Now I heard you to say that on the video you can see um, the young lady slapping the phone out of Mr. McPherson's hand. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you see any images or recordings prior to her slapping the phone out of his hand?
Yes, sir. Prior to the phone being slapped, he was
Mhm.
recording. You saw Miss Davis come out of the home, as well as the two males come out behind her, Mr. Stafford being one of them. They were
Mhm.
on the porch area as they worked their way down into the yard. And Miss Davis was the one who kept coming closer and closer while the two males remained in the yard area.
Okay, got it, got it. And would you give the court a relative distance? I'm not asking you to pull a ruler out. How far is this porch away from the street?
The porch is probably about 20 feet from the street. The yard where they were
Okay,
standing was about maybe 15 to 10.
okay, got it. And so, but the actual physical confrontation occurs in the street, not in the yard, correct?
Yes, sir. It all occurred in the.
All right. And at that time of that physical encounter, the two males are not at the street with Mr. McPherson or the young lady, correct?
No, sir. At the time of the phone being slapped, they are both still
Hmm.
standing in the yard from the point of view where he was standing.
All right, cool. And when you see the phone get slapped, of course, it's now taking pictures of the sky, correct?
Yes, sir. It's pointed at the sky.
Uh-huh. And is it nearby the place of the confrontation, or is it a good distance away? In other words, is it picking up the audio of what's going on as far as the confrontation is concerned?
Yes, sir. It is in close proximity to the actual
Okay.
incident because you can even hear the impacts as they were hitting Mr. McPherson. So
Okay.
I believe it was
Eh,
probably right next to him.
all right. And you have concluded that the two people that are striking Mr. McPherson, one of them is Stanford, and one of them is the young lady who slapped the phone out of his hand, correct?
Correct. I believe that she slapped the phone from his hand, and I believe that he
Mhm.
was struck by a male, Mr. Stanford.
Yes, sir. What's the time lapse between the slapping of the phone out of his hand and the first time you hear the body blows? How much time passes by?
About 10 to 15 seconds.
About 10 to 15 seconds. All right, cool. Now, um, you have charged two separate charges here. You charge a battery and you charge an aggravated battery.
Yes, sir.
I'm taking it that the aggravated battery is because of the head cut and the orbital bone fracture. Is that right?
That is correct, sir.
What's the battery about?
The battery was initially what was charged, what I was instructed to charge with, due to us not have any conclusive evidence of disfigurement as far as injuries that were given to us from the hospital.
Okay. So in essence, your aggravated battery is an upgrade on your original charge.
Yes, sir, it is.
I got you. I got you. All right. And then I heard you to say false statements was because Mr. Stanford wrote on the paper, what he believed happened. Is that right?
That is correct, sir.
And then after he wrote that on the paper, did you go back and say, man, this is wrong? Why did you write this wrong thing down here? Did you talk to him at all?
Prior to giving him a statement form, I asked if he would want to. I asked it. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I asked if he would like to fill out a statement form, to which he replied yes. I advised him to read the statement form in its entirety, and he was specifically pointed out at the bottom. There's a subsection that says any false statements written on this document can and will be prosecuted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
cool. All right. So
So
to my question though, did you go back after he had written the statement and then say, man, why'd you write this wrong statement down here?
no, sir.
Okay. And you gave him the form after he gave you his verbal account, correct?
Yes, sir. He gave verbal account, and then he was able to give written account.
And was his verbal any different than his written?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
All right, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Pullen,
Yes, ma'am.
was Mr. McPherson beaten during the course of this altercation with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he have bruises about his body along with the cracked orbital bone?
Yes, ma'am. He had bruises all over his face.
Did he indicate at some point that the person in the hoodie beat him too, or was it just Mr. Stanford?
He said that he was attacked by 2 black males.
And that was during the process of being attacked is when the orbital bone was cracked?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now that's all I have.
Yes, recross, Judge.
I'm sorry.
Recross after that redirect.
All righty, go ahead.
Officer Pullen, so he doesn't know anything about the lady hitting him. Is that what I heard you say?
As far as Miss Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he advises Miss Davis slapped the phone out of his hand.
Okay, I thought so, but I just heard you say, that the 2 males attacked him.
Yes, that's who. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was responding to her question when she asked, did he only say that Mr. Stanford attacked him during that time? I said, no, he said he was attacked by 2 black males. I thought she was referring to the point in that video.
Oh, no, you good. All right,
yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right. That's it, Judge.
All right, closing arguments. ADA Thomas.
I'll reserve to the end, Your Honor.
All right, you're up, Attorney Lewis.
Thank you, Judge. With respect to the false statements charged, Judge, I would ask the court to dismiss this. The officer has made a conclusion that this man intended to give false statements. What we know is that after the phone, it's all right. I think you might need to mute yourself down, though.
Yeah, you did. All
right. The young man, about 10 to 15 seconds after the phone gets slapped out of Mr. McPherson's hand, then responds, and what he is responding to is what he believes, and that is that the phone has been used to strike the young lady. So there is no offer whatsoever. His statements don't vary as sometimes people do. His verbal and his written were the same thing, and they are still the same thing at this point in time, meaning there was no follow-up to see if he's changed his mind or anything like that. The form, as the officer says that any false statements that are put on this form is something that's going to be prosecuted. But what if the person doesn't believe that they're false? That they're giving an accurate statement. So I would ask the court to dismiss the false statements charge. With respect to the battery charge, Judge, I would ask the court to dismiss that based upon what the officer said. The battery charge was an initial hold charge until they could do investigations. He was told to put a charge on it by a supervisor. He did that. Once he determined what the issue actually was, however, he came back and he charged with aggravated battery. So one was intended to supersede the other. And that is according to his testimony, not Crayle's or Madam Prosecutors or anybody else. The disorderly conduct statute, Judge, has a lot of parts to it. I believe 12 parts to it, if my memory serves me correctly. And none of those parts have been testified to whatsoever. There is, of course, fighting words, opprobrious behavior, all kinds of things. But what it is not is what you've heard today. There's even some inclusion of an affray, if we could get down to an affray listed in the disorderly conduct statute. But we don't even have an affray. What we have testified to is X, meaning the woman does to Y, and then my client responds to what he believes Y has done to X. And so that is what we have here. With respect to the aggravated battery, admit on that.
Okay, wait a minute. We lost. Back up. Say it one more
on
time. We lost you for a moment. Back up.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know where you lost me, but if I go over something twice, stop.
Okay.
So on the aggravated battery charge, we're going to submit on that for this purpose. The why is something that can be determined later on. But with respect to the other three charges, the false statement, the battery, and the disorderly conduct, I think you heard all of my argument on the disorderly conduct. Do you believe you heard all of the argument on the disorderly conduct, Judge?
I believe I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, great. So on those three charges, we're going to move to dismiss on those three, but on the aggravated battery, we'll submit based upon the evidence.
Okay. All righty. Go ahead, ADA Thomas.
Your Honor, I'm going to address the false statements first. Also indicated that he charged this gentleman with false statements for claiming that he was acting in defense of his sister and that the victim struck or his sister first. The video that the victim was able to provide to the officers shows the exact opposite. He's recording them as they come out the house. They're upset because he's recording them. The sister actually approaches the victim, slaps the phone out of his hand. Next thing he knows, he's being attacked by who he identifies as this defendant. She slapped the phone out of his hand. She was the aggressor, not the victim. The defendant reacted to her aggression in his attack on the victim. State will contend that him telling the officer the opposite was a false statement and would ask that that charge be transferred over. Regarding the disorderly conduct, Your Honor, I believe we do have opprobrious behavior and an affray, but for the cracked skull, that pretty much is what an affray is. When you fight in the middle of the street, a verbal confrontation that devolves into a physical altercation, that's an affray, Your Honor. I believe the defense conceded on the ag battery, Your Honor, and I believe the officer's testimony has established that. So state will contend at this time that there's sufficient probable cause for all of the counts before the court to be transferred to the Superior Court.
All right. So based upon the evidence presented, I'm going to just go through. So for warrant, the battery, I don't find sufficient probable cause to bind over the battery. So I'm going to dismiss that charge. I'm going to skip over the disorderly conduct because I'm kind of on the fence with that one. False statements, that's going to be bound over to Superior Court, and the aggravated battery is going to be bound over to Superior Court. On the disorderly conduct, hold on just one moment. All right, so as far as the disorderly conduct, I'm not going to bind over the disorderly conduct. So I'm going to dismiss the battery and disorderly conduct.
Understood, Judge.
And then I'm going to bind over the aggravated battery and the false statements. All right, that's the
Yes.
order of the court.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are we ready to do that other one?
Yes, let's keep going.
Am I free to log off?
Yes, you
thank
are,
you.
Officer
Thanks,
Pullen. Thank
officer.
you very
Appreciate you.
much.
All right,
Thank you, Pullen. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's gonna be Officer, where did he go? Uh-oh. It should have been Officer Montano.
What
Recall.
defendant is it going to be?
Faustin should be on, Judge.
Yes,
Okay.
Rouse.
All right. All right. And deputy, if we could get Faust, please, Charles Faust, please.
Say it again. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Hey, so deputy, do you have two Charles Faust? Do you have two bodies that's named Charles Faust?
I'll check.
Okay.
I just got down here. Come check, please. What's your name? What's your last name? Hey, no, I have one Foster. I have one Foster. Throw it away. Yes, sir.
You have one. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's what we need.
Yeah, we do need Mr.
Yes.
Fox. Right, I see are you Mr. Charles Faust? And could you unmute him for just a second, Deputy?
How you doing, ma'am?
Is your middle name Nicholas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it appears that that's the same person. And I think the officer is coming in right
Yes, ma'am.
now.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on one second.
So we still only have those two counts, right? Okay. Because the other ones were addressed at a prior hearing.
Yes, we only gonna handle those two.
Yes, ma'am. All right, just want to make sure.
Right, so Mr. Fox, we're about to start your preliminary hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
You can mute him back down, jail.
All right, so this is the state of Georgia versus Charles Foss, charged in warrant number 2024 CW 73040. That's aggravated battery. 2024 CW 73041, criminal trespass. Representing the state is ADA Thomas. Representing the defendant is Attorney Lewis. Your witness, ADA Thomas.
Officer, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you shall present before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? We can't, you're on mute, officer.
Yes, I do.
Put your hand down, state your name for the record.
Officer Daniel Montano.
Are you employed?
Yes, ma'am, with Clayton County Police Department.
Were you so employed on or about September the 21st of 2024?
Yes.
And on that date, did you have occasion to respond to a 7419-A205 Davidson Circle?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it within the confines of the city of Stockbridge, Clayton County?
Yes,
Objection,
ma'am.
compounded question.
Try to restate your question, ADA Thomas.
Is that within the confines of the city of Stockbridge?
Yes.
And is that in Clayton County?
Yes, the unincorporated.
Unincorporated Clayton County?
Unincorporated area of Clayton County.
Okay, great. Now, at that location on that day, do you have occasion to investigate an incident involving a Charles Foss?
Yes.
Okay, and before we get too much further, did you come into contact with Mr. Faust on that date?
No, I did not.
Okay, can you advise the court as to what the nature of your investigation was involving Mr. Faust?
We had got a call of a domestic violence incident at that above location. I had arrived on scene and I had made contact with Amy Yusuf.
Okay,
When I got there, I observed massive injuries to her face. Her left eye was protruding from her face, completely swollen, and she was unable to open her left eye. It was about the size of a baseball.
and did she advise you as to how that happened to her?
Yes, she said that she was punched in the face repeatedly by the male that was in the room with her, Charles Faust.
Now, you said the male in the room with her, what type of house is this, or what type of residence is this?
It was a hotel room
Okay.
or a motel.
Do you recall the name of the hotel, motel, or whatever it was?
I believe that motel was Magnolia Inn.
Okay. And did she advise what triggered the attack?
She had stated that they were celebrating Charles Faust's birthday.
And during the celebration, he attacked her, or did something trigger it, or does she know?
I can't recall what she said had triggered the fight or what had triggered the incident, but she had said that Charles Faust had that they were celebrating his birthday, and then all of a sudden he snapped and he started punching her in the face, and then he broke her phone. And she said
she said what?
She stated that she had lost consciousness during the incident as well.
Now, you say that her face had serious swelling, correct?
Yeah.
Were any other parts of her body injured?
I believe she had some injuries to her upper lip and nose area, but as far as anything other than the face, no. And then I was advised by the hospital on a follow-up to the hospital that she had a possible orbital fracture to the left eye.
Is that why it was swollen, or did they advise?
They didn't advise why it was swollen, other than that it could be from the orbital and all the fluid that went to that area.
Do you know if she required surgery to treat her injuries?
I was advised by the hospital that she would require surgery, but I don't know if surgery had happened.
Did she advise as to whether or not Mr. Faust had her permission to beat her?
I'm going to say no to that question because she made a report that she was assaulted.
Okay. And could you tell if there had been any type of fight or struggle in the room?
No.
Do you know if any of this was recorded, any of the fight between the victim and the defendant?
I don't know if any of it was recorded.
Was your interaction with the victim recorded?
Yes, on my body camera.
And do you know where that footage is?
It should be stored within the Polaris system.
Now, were any photographs or anything taken of the victim's injuries?
Yes, the county photographer for the county came and documented the injuries at the hospital of Mrs. Yusuf.
So the photographs were taken at the hospital?
Yes, ma'am. After she was transported to the hospital.
Was anything taken at the room where the incident occurred?
I do not believe anything was taken from the room. I think she brought her cell phone with her, but that cell phone had been damaged, so I believe that was photographed and inserted into the incident report.
And your body cam was active, I believe?
Yes, it was.
So it would have recorded the interior of the room, or did you actually go into the room?
I can't recall if I went into. I think I only like went to where the beds were in the room, but nothing was like knocked over. The beds. I can't recall if they were made, but like there wasn't any furniture that had been tossed around or anything.
Mr. Faust was not present?
He was not present. This was all information that Miss Yusuf had provided, that she was assaulted by Mr. Faust.
How were you able to identify Mr. Faust if he wasn't there?
I believe it was just information that she had provided with his date of birth and his full name. She had said that they had previously lived together, so she provided his information.
Are you the one who took out the warrants?
I am.
How were you able to confirm her description with the person that was before the court today?
Off of the DDS, picture, she described it, and the details that she had described to me was of Charles Faust on the picture.
Were you able to show her a picture or anything?
No, I didn't show her a picture.
So how did this? She gives you verbal information, date of birth, what have you. What did you do with that information?
I took that information and looked up the DDS. I was able to get his identity off of that, and then I went and applied for a warrant based off the information she had provided me.
Okay, can you explain to us what is DDS?
The Department of Driver Services, off our MCT computer, where we're able to run driver's licenses. Driver's license pictures will pop up on that system.
Okay, so you took his information and put it in that to see what would pop up? Was the information provided by the victim?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she able to confirm that the defendant before the court today was in fact the person who beat her?
I did not show her a picture to confirm that identity to her.
Okay. You just took out warrants?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pick him up on the warrants?
No, I did not. I tried contacting Mr. Faust to get his side of the story, but he did not answer.
When you say you tried to contact him, you tried to call him?
Yes, with the phone number that she had provided of Mr. Faust.
Hold on 1 second. I believe you touched on this earlier, but I'm going to double check. You also have charged him with a criminal trespass. Why did you charge him with that?
Miss Amy had said that he had smashed his phone. When she showed me the phone, there was a phone that had the glass that had been shattered, and the phone was not in order.
Have him repeat that again, please.
Officer, can you repeat what you just said?
Amy showed us her cell phone, which had the glass.
Let me stop you right here, right quick. Her cell phone or his cell phone?
Her cell phone.
Okay, please continue.
Which had the front screen smashed, and the screen was not in. You couldn't do anything with the phone. She said that Charles Foss had broken her phone during the altercation.
Okay. Was she able to give you a value of the phone? Do you recall?
I can't recall. I know she was still. I can't recall if she gave me a value for the phone.
Okay. But she did indicate it was operable prior to being attacked by Mr. Faust.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Mr. Faust?
No, I have not.
Okay. I believe that's all I have reserved right for redirect.
Cross?
Yes, Judge. First and foremost, officer, repeat your last name again for me, please.
Montano.
Montano. Yes, I wanted to make sure that there was a O at the end of that. Spell it for me if you would, please, sir.
Montano.
Okay, perfect. Officer Montano, I want to go back to the beginning of your testimony and work my way through just to make sure that we all got the details correct. First, this incident did not occur in the city of Stockbridge, correct?
It
It was
occurred
in,
in the unincorporated area of Clayton County, which that area is still considered Stockbridge. It's the city of Stockbridge or within, so their mailing address is Stockbridge, but that is part of the unincorporated area of Clayton County.
right, and that explains why you went to the scene as opposed to Stockbridge PD, correct?
Yes, because that is Clayton County's jurisdiction.
Like, right, and not the city of Stockbridge's jurisdiction.
Correct.
All right. The next thing I want to go to is when you went to this address here. I've heard you describe the events that you were told about, but I want you to describe the scene a little bit more. I heard you to say something about you saw the bedroom. Is that correct?
Well, so it's a motel room. So as soon as you open the motel, you have one or two
You
beds right there, and the background
okay?
and the bathroom in the background.
I got it. I got it. So it wasn't a suite or something like that. You can see everything but the bathroom.
You can see everything but the bathroom.
All right. And when you saw this room, you couldn't see any destruction or anything like that, correct?
No, I didn't see any destruction in the room.
All right. And you saw the young lady there at the time you arrived at the motel room. Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you see any other witnesses around?
No.
Who did the call come from on the 911 call come from?
I would have to look back on the CAD to see where that 911 call came from.
I got it. I got it. So did you ask her if she had called 911?
No, I did not ask her if she called
I got
911.
I got you. I got you. But she was conscious, upright, and verbal when you encountered her. Is that right?
Yes, she was.
And,
But
and your visible observations is she had a busted lip and she had a nose that was out of joint. Does that sound right?
sounds about right. Busted lip, nose, and then the left side of her face was about the size of a small baseball.
Right, it was swollen up. I
Yep.
got you. I got you. But you yourself, you also said that her eyes were protruding, but you believe that could have been from the fluid. Uh, is that the fluid from the nose,
Nah, I think it would have been from the eye socket area.
from the eye socket area? So both eyes was puffed up, or what?
No, just
Just the
one.
left? Oh,
Just the left side.
just the left side. I got you. I got you. And it was swollen. Was it shut?
It was swollen completely shut. I do recall the medics on scene was trying to get her to open her left eye, but
Uh-huh.
they weren't able to get her left eye open to see if there was any like blood or what was
Hmm.
underneath of that eyelid.
Okay. Let's fast forward real quick. We're gonna come back, but let's fast forward. Do you know if she has lost use of that eye?
I have no follow up to that case after once everything was submitted. I don't know if she lost her eye or anything.
Okay, so just the hospital personnel told you that there was a fractured orbital bone. Is that right?
Yes, they
All right.
said there was a likely orbital fracture, but they needed to do CT scans, and I don't
Okay.
recall if I stayed long enough for those CT scans to be completed.
All right. So we don't know if it's fractured, but they believe that it could be, and they would know for sure once they did the CT
At the
scans.
time I was doing my investigation, yes.
Yes, sir. Have you followed up since then on that?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. Um, let's move on then, if we will, back to this motel room. You said that she had a phone in her possession, and the phone, the screen was damaged. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of phone was it?
I can't recall what kind of phone it was.
All
I
right.
believe
Let, let me let me.
it was an Android of some sort, maybe. I'd have to look back.
Okay. Okay. I'm not really looking for the make and model. I'm looking for the design more so. Was it a flip phone or is it a straight up brick smartphone kind of thing?
It was a smartphone
It's a smartphone.
with
Have you
the full glass on the front.
got it? Got it. Got it. The full glass. All right. And you weren't able to look in that phone and see anything as far as her contact with the person that she's talking about, correct?
Um, if I can recall, it almost looked like if you punch the device and then black ink almost looks like it just overtakes the entire screen. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have to look back at those photos. That kind of reminds me of what the phone looked like, but I'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. After all of this was over, did you get a chance to check with the telephone company, the provider, to find out if in fact she had any calls with the individual?
No,
Okay. The reason why I asked that question is you started out by saying that this is a former acquaintance of hers, right?
she had said they had lived together for 2 months.
Meaning that they were currently living together or they used to live together in the past.
Used to live in the past, is what she had told me. What I
Right.
documented in my report.
Right, right. And that's what I picked up on as well. So I was trying to ascertain when did she say he arrived back in her life, number one, and number two, how did he allegedly know that she was at this motel room?
From what I recall, I don't know. I don't know the answer to your first question of when did he come back into
Hmm.
her life, but I do recall her saying
Hmm.
that she was celebrating his birthday with him.
Yeah, yeah, I heard that too. Let me ask you another question. Did you inquire as to whether she had a current relationship with anyone?
I did not inquire about that.
Hmm. Hmm. So, if let's say she wanted to get some medical help, but didn't want to implicate her current love affair, you wouldn't know that, right?
No, I wouldn't know that.
Hmm. Um, and you haven't had any contact with Faust at all,
No, I have
correct?
not.
Were you able to test the number against any system to find out if the number that she provided belonged to him?
I can't recall if I would have ran that number in clear or not. I
Hmm.
I'm not. I don't remember.
Hmm. You don't recall getting an answering system or a voicemail with his voice on there or something like that saying, "Hey, this is Faust. What's up?"
Uh,
Nothing like that.
I I can't recall. I mean, that was back in September. I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't know how that.
yeah.
I just know that I didn't make contact with him. He didn't. The phone didn't answer. I don't know um, if a voicemail system had popped up. I can't recall that.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Let me just think here for a second, officer.
Okay.
All right. Did any other officer provide you with a supplemental on this, maybe at the time of arrest?
I can't recall. I can't even recall which officers would have assisted me at that scene.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
I'd have to go back into the report management system and look to see if an officer created a supplemental.
Do you know at what time the Mr. Faust was arrested relative to the time that you investigated the scene?
No, I wasn't even notified that he had been picked up on the warrant.
Hmm. Okay. Um, and all right, officer. Listen, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, any redirect?
Actually, no, Your Honor.
All right, closing arguments, go ahead. Attorney Lewis?
Yes, Judge. Judge, you've been a judge for a minute now. There's a couple of ways that cases come before you. Sometimes they come on private warrants, and sometimes they come on officers' warrants. In the event of a misdemeanor not observed by the officer, you would have a private citizen come before you and swear out a complaint. In this, and then of course you would have a hearing about that kind of thing, and you would test what you're hearing to find out if it's sufficient enough to go forward with a warrant. In this case, there's a charge of aggravated battery, and aggravated battery is of course a felony. And on that, you have a police officer who is empowered to arrest on felonious matters that occur, even if those matters do not occur within his presence. That's a little different than a misdemeanor matter that doesn't occur in his presence. And so, based upon that, a warrant has been taken out because he has been told by a young lady who has obviously sustained some injuries, that it is her ex relation that they came together to celebrate the birthday. Um, and Judge, I that is where I stop right there, because I don't have a question about what injuries she suffered as far as the nose and the lip, because this cop saw that, and that's something that he saw. What he didn't see, however, is it occur in his presence, and that Mr. Faust caused it. He received information from the hospital that suggested that the orbital bone was broken, but even according to the hospital, they didn't know if that was true until they ran a CT scan. And lastly, we have no explanation as to how the ex person she lived with, whether that was a lover relationship or just staying with somebody because you needed a place to stay, how that person arrived back at this motel in 2024. However, Judge, I would suggest to you that there's a couple of other alternative explanations. The first explanation is that somebody else did it to her, somebody who is current in her life. And she did not want to name that current person. The second explanation I will offer to you, Judge, is that it may have occurred, but not even at the location where this officer is, and not also by Faust. And the reason why I offer that to you is the officer's observations. When he goes to the scene, he's doing like every other good cop around. He's looking for not just evidence, but he's looking for other persons, because he's not going to walk into a dangerous situation and put himself at risk. He needs to know who's there and what's going on. And what he does not see is any evidence of any destruction whatsoever. But I would submit to you one more thing. He also doesn't see evidence of a birthday celebration, because he didn't testify to that. He also didn't verify that Mr. Faust's birthday was the actual day that they were there. And so we're missing a lot of pieces here. But he's doing what he's supposed to do as a cop. He's receiving information. This information looks like a felony, smells like a felony. And so he goes and takes out a felony warrant. Otherwise, you would have this lady have to come in front of you and tell you what happened. And then you would have been able to test the veracity of what she was saying at that time. I'm not trying to blame this lady for anything, because I don't know her from Adam. But I have seen a lot of situations, Judge, where we have people that are being blamed when in fact they didn't do it. Sometimes uh, to shift the blame because they don't want to um, uh, speak poorly of the person who actually did the wrong. This lady needed medical assistance, so 911 had to be called. You have to get medical assistance when your eye is swollen shut. But there is no evidence of Mr. Faust present. I haven't heard testimony of clothes being present, birthday cake being present, birthday present being present, or any of those other things. And even the telephone number that the officer was given, well, if she was related in some kind of way to him in the past, whether as a roommate, a live-in, a girlfriend, or what have you, there's nothing to say that that past number is the present number. The officer doesn't get a chance to see that because the phone is broken. And then number two, he doesn't get any verification when he calls the number. So I would submit to you at this point in time, Judge, for all the reasons stated, including the lack of any evidence confirming a broken orbital bone, that there is insufficient probable cause to move forward at this time on the misdemeanor or the felony, and that this matter should be left to the DA's office to do their investigation and then present that investigatory history to the grand jury. Hopefully, they'll be more convinced. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, ADA Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the first one, I'm gonna, I recall the officer saying that he didn't see any type of disturbance or what have you in the room. And he didn't say that he did not see a bit, he didn't indicate yay or nay. He didn't really say he didn't see a disturbance. He didn't say if he saw evidence of a birthday celebration or not. I'm going to contend, Your Honor, that that's really not relevant. Different people celebrate different ways. It's entirely possible they went out and had dinner. It's entirely possible she just showed up and was just there. Who knows how they celebrated that birthday part of this incident. What we do know for a fact is that at some point in the celebration or in some point during her visit, she was attacked by Mr. Faust. The officer said that her eye was swollen up to the point that it looked like a small baseball. After taking her to the hospital, she finds out that she has possibly a cracked orbital bone and she may require surgery. Despite all of that, she was able to tell the officers who attacked her. She wasn't able to provide an explanation of why because she didn't know why. But she was able to describe him, provide his information sufficient that the officers were able to take out a warrant and detain him for his attack on the victim. She was also able to say that during the attack, he is the one that damaged her phone. And I believe the officer testified that the screen was completely cracked and that the phone was not usable. I recall asking the officer regarding video, and I believe he must have initially misunderstood what I said because his response was, well, her phone was broke. So if she had any, we wouldn't have been able to see it or something to that effect. So we know there was a criminal trespass damage because the victim testified the phone was damaged when Mr. Faust threw the phone onto the floor. We know that we have an ag battery because the victim testified that Mr. Faust punched her in the face multiple times, which is why her face was swollen up and which is how her orbital bone very likely was cracked. State would contend at this point the court has sufficient evidence to transfer this case to the Superior Court of Clayton County.
Thank you. So based upon the evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind both charges over to the Superior Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
officer.
Judge. Thank you, Montano.
Also,
you
excuse. Thank you.
And that concludes my last matter before you today. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You as well. And so, only thing we have left is Attorney Rogers' case. Is that right?
That's what I have here.
All right, let me go down my little thingamajig right here and make sure.
Your Honor, is Miss Bermudez back?
No, we have to text her, email her. But when I email, I want to email her the new link or when she's emailed. So this one, let's see.
Will we need to log off, Your Honor, and log back on, or what should we
Because
do?
I'm gonna have to do that. So let's see. Yep, that is it. All right, so I'm gonna do this link so that we can start I will add her to it. I will go ahead and just send the link to Attorney Rogers. Um, Attorney Bower, do you want the link as well?
No, ma'am.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, the
Okay.
officer is gonna actually need an officer,
When
Ayala.
when I send it to you, can you send it to the officer?
I can.
And Judge, you can send it to Ms. Boulware if you want to. You the judge.
I will do
Well, I
just
might be a little
that.
late. How about that? I might be a little late.
Okay, all right. All right, so I'm gonna send that out right now. And who else is on here? Ms. Coleman, I'll make sure I send it to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All righty.
And Ms. Davis
Ms. Davis, yes, would never
Yes,
forget my Ms. Davis. I would never forget her.
and Miss Janae Dennis.
Oh, victim advocate. Okay. All righty. And so I'm just gonna send it to the regular people. Y'all distribute it as it's supposed to be. I won't
Yes,
remember all these.
Officer Ayala, can you hear us?
And Your Honor, with the
Yes,
jail.
ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna have this, we're gonna log off. I'm gonna send you a new link because they have to set up the language thing.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. You can go ahead and log off. I'll send it to you in a minute.
All right.
Yes, I'm doing it as we speak.
And for the jail, who do we need to send it to?
Yes.
You guys are gonna send it in an email?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have our Sergeant Burley's email?
Yes.
Oh, you
can
do?
send it to him.
Okay.
All right.
Are we going straight in, or are we gonna come back like at 1:30? I didn't know exactly what time if there was a specific time we were gonna start.
I would like to just go ahead and go right back into it.
That's fine. I just wanted
But
to know.
do y'all need a couple minutes?
I'd
I'm
like
fine.
to use the restroom if I could while we're waiting on Ms. Bermudez.
Oh, not using no restroom. What's wrong with you? Just kidding. Miss Bermudez. Of course. Let's just say, can we come back at 1:30?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that was fine. I just wanted to know to kind of let the witness know when I sent her the link, just so she knows when to jump on.
Okay, so wait a minute. Right, it's coming over right now. All right. So on the other side at 1:30.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Let me